There's a test you can run on anyone in under 30 seconds that reveals if they're secretly manipulating you. And once you know this test, you'll realize you've been surrounded by these people your entire life. They've been feeding on your energy, taking credit for your wins, making you doubt your own reality. But here's what nobody tells you. These people are terrified of one thing, and in the next few minutes, you're going to become that thing. Last week, my friend Marcus called me. His voice was different, broken. His business partner of 3 years had just stolen his biggest client. But here's the twisted part. He convinced everyone Marcus was the problem. Sound familiar? Marcus had ignored 4 warning signs that would have exposed him on day 1. Signs that a German philosopher discovered over 200 years ago. Signs that narcissists literally cannot hide. And once I showed him these 4 tests, he said something that still gives me chills. I can see them everywhere now. They're all doing the exact same thing. But before I reveal the first test, you need to understand something that will make you uncomfortable. Right now, someone in your life is running a psychological program on you. They're not doing it consciously. It's automatic, like breathing. They need something from you to survive. Not your money, not your time, something much more valuable, your sense of reality. Stop. That feeling you just got, that recognition, hold on to it. See, most people think narcissists want attention. That's kindergarten psychology. What they actually want will disturb you. But first, you need to understand why you keep attracting them. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You're doing something that makes you a perfect target, and you've been trained to do it since childhood. You've been taught that seeing the good in people makes you a good person, that giving people the benefit of the doubt is noble, that forgiveness is strength. But what if I told you that Arthur Schopenhauer proved this is exactly backwards? That your empathy isn't a strength, it's a beacon that attracts predators? And right now, you're about to learn why narcissists can spot you in a crowded room, why they always pick you, why it feels like you have a target on your back. Actually, wait, before I explain that, there's something else happening that changes everything. Schopenhauer called it the porcupine's dilemma. It's winter. A group of porcupines huddle together for warmth, but when they get too close, their quills hurt each other. So they spread apart and freeze. They keep moving closer and apart, trying to find the perfect distance. Most people are porcupines. They need closeness, but maintain boundaries. But narcissists, they have no quills. They can get infinitely close without feeling pain, because they don't actually connect, they extract. Here's the first test, the boundary probe. Within the first 3 conversations, a narcissist will violate a small boundary. They'll ask something too personal, stand too close, touch you when it's not appropriate, call you at an unreasonable hour. It's not random, it's a test. If you enforce your boundary, they leave. If you let it slide to be polite, you've just identified yourself as food. You have the right to protect your energy from anyone who makes you feel drained. But here's what makes this sinister. They're not testing your boundaries. They're testing your relationship with shame. Because people who can't handle conflict, who apologize for having needs, who feel guilty for saying no, these people have been pre-groomed by society to feed narcissists. If you've ever felt guilty for having boundaries, you're already living this pattern. And once you pass their test, the real manipulation begins. But something darker is happening that most people never see. Carl Jung discovered something that narcissists don't want you to know. He called it the shadow self, the parts of you that you hide, the anger you swallow, the jealousy you deny, the selfishness you're ashamed of. Normal people integrate their shadow. They accept their dark parts. But narcissists, they found a cheat code. They project their shadow onto you. Here's the second test, the projection trap. A narcissist will accuse you of exactly what they're doing. If they're cheating, they'll accuse you of cheating. If they're lying, they'll call you a liar. If they're manipulating, they'll say you're manipulating them. But it's not simple projection, it's weaponized. Because the moment you defend yourself, you've already lost. You're now explaining why you're not a bad person. You're seeking their approval. You're letting them define reality. Stop again. Feel that shift? That's your old self recognizing the game. Remember Marcus? His business partner accused him of being too aggressive in meetings. So he became quieter, more accommodating, less visible. 3 months later, the partner was running his meetings, using his ideas, taking his credit. Marcus thought he was being professional. He was actually being harvested. Most people will never understand this, but you're different because you can feel when something's off. But here's the twist that will change how you see every conversation from now on. Nietzsche said, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." Most people read this as a warning, but Nietzsche meant something else entirely. He meant that to defeat a monster, you need to understand how monsters think. You need to see their patterns, predict their moves. And once you can see like a narcissist, you become invisible to them. If this is already changing how you see your relationships, you're ready for what comes next. This is where it gets really dark. I need to tell you something that might hurt. Every narcissist in your life is there because you invited them, not consciously, but through a signal you're broadcasting, a frequency only they can hear. It's the frequency of unmet childhood needs. What you thought was your weakness is actually your hidden power. You can sense threats others miss. See, Freud discovered that we repeat our earliest relationships. If love meant earning approval, you'll attract people whose approval you need to earn. If love meant sacrifice, you'll attract people who demand sacrifice. The third test, the childhood echo. Within the first month, a narcissist will recreate your childhood wound. If you had a critical parent, they'll criticize you in the exact same way. If you had an absent parent, they'll withdraw at crucial moments. It feels familiar, like home, like love. But it's not love. It's a replay. And you're the only one who doesn't know the script. Actually, there's something about this pattern that I haven't told you yet. But to understand it, you first need to know what happened to Elena. Elena spent decades in cycles, different faces, same patterns. She blamed herself. She tried harder. She gave more. 5 relationships. All ended the same way. That's not bad luck. That's a program running. But here's what happens when you break the program. You become psychologically invisible. Narcissists literally cannot see you anymore. You don't register on their radar. I watched Elena run the 4th test last week. The results were terrifying. She was at a networking event. A known manipulator approached her, someone who had destroyed 3 careers. Elena did something simple, something Machiavelli wrote about 500 years ago. She agreed with everything he said, but added nothing, gave no energy, no reaction, just neutral agreement. You're right. That makes sense. I can see that. After 3 minutes, he looked confused. After 5 minutes, he looked frustrated. After 7 minutes, he walked away and never came back. She had become psychologically invisible. You have the right to exist without explaining yourself to anyone. Stop one more time. That resistance you feel, that's years of programming fighting back. The 4th test is the most powerful, the energy audit. After every interaction with someone, ask yourself one question. Do I have more or less energy than before? This isn't about being tired, it's about life force. Narcissists are energy vampires, but not in the way you think. They don't drain you by being negative. They drain you by making you perform. Every conversation is a performance where you're trying to be good enough, smart enough, interesting enough. You leave exhausted because you've been auditioning for your own life. If you've ever felt like you're performing for your own acceptance, you're not alone, but you're also not crazy. But wait, there's a deeper truth that changes everything. Schopenhauer said humans are driven by blind will, an unconscious force that makes us want, need, crave. Narcissists have weaponized this will. They've learned to trigger your wanting, your needing, your craving for validation. They give you just enough approval to keep you hooked, but never enough to feel secure. It's called intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive psychological pattern known to science. The same pattern that makes gambling addictive, that makes toxic relationships feel like love, that makes you check your phone 100 times a day. But once you see the pattern, something incredible happens. You realize you've been playing a game you can't win, because the game is designed to never end. The narcissist needs you to keep playing. Their entire identity depends on it. But you can just stop playing. And when you stop playing, they panic. Most people will stay asleep, but you're waking up because you're ready for the truth. I've seen it happen dozens of times. The moment someone stops seeking approval, the narcissist escalates. They love bomb, they rage, they play victim. It's not personal, it's mechanical, like a program glitching. But here's what most people don't realize. This is your moment of maximum power, because now they're revealing their entire playbook. Every manipulation, every button they push, every string they pull, You're seeing the wizard behind the curtain. If you're feeling that shift right now, that awakening, hit subscribe, because what comes next will complete your transformation. Actually, before I continue, remember what I said about Marcus and Elena? There's a connection between their stories that reveals the final piece. Everything you've been ashamed of is actually your superpower. Your sensitivity? That's advanced threat detection. Your overthinking? That's pattern recognition. Your people-pleasing? That's environmental mastery. You've been training your entire life to see through manipulation. You just didn't know it. Think about it. You can walk into a room and instantly feel the energy. You know when someone's lying before they finish their sentence. You sense danger that others miss. That's not anxiety. That's evolution. Your ancestors survived because they could detect threats others couldn't see, and you inherited that gift. What you thought was broken about you is actually what makes you dangerous to manipulators. But society taught you to ignore it, to be nice, to assume positive intent, to give people chances they haven't earned. That programming ends today. From now on, you trust your first impression. That weird feeling you get? That's your unconscious mind processing thousands of microsignals. When someone makes you feel crazy, you're not crazy. You're being gaslit. When someone makes you feel guilty for having boundaries, you're not selfish. You're being manipulated. When someone makes you question your reality, you're not confused. You're under attack. You have permission to trust yourself completely, even when the whole world says you're wrong. Jung called this individuation, becoming who you really are instead of who you've been programmed to be. And the moment you individuate, narcissists cannot touch you because their entire strategy depends on you not trusting yourself. Here's the thing about Marcus and Elena. They both discovered something at the same time. Marcus told me yesterday, for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of being alone, because I realized I was already alone. I was just surrounded by people who made me feel lonely. Elena said the exact same thing, word for word, without knowing about Marcus. They've both started new companies, by themselves, with their rules, their boundaries, their vision. And the vultures are circling, but they can't land, because Marcus and Elena are no longer broadcasting the frequency they feed on. They're broadcasting something else now, something that attracts different people, real people, people who match their energy instead of stealing it. Most people will never reach this level of awareness, but you're different. You're already changing. You have two choices right now. You can go back to sleep, pretend you didn't hear this, keep playing the game you've been playing, or you can do something that will change every relationship you have from this moment forward. Run the 4 tests on everyone in your inner circle. The boundary probe, the projection trap, the childhood echo, the energy audit. You'll discover something that might break your heart, but it will also set you free. Some people you love are using you. They don't mean to. They might not even know they're doing it. But your energy is not renewable. Your time is not infinite. Your light is not meant to be consumed by people who give nothing back. You deserve to be surrounded by people who celebrate your boundaries, not violate them. Here's my challenge. For the next 7 days, become psychologically invisible. Stop explaining yourself. Stop seeking approval. Stop performing for your own acceptance. Just exist. Take up space. Have needs without apology. Watch what happens. Watch who gets angry. Watch who tries to pull you back. Watch who can't handle the real you. Those people, they were never your people. But watch who stays. Who celebrates your boundaries. Who matches your energy. Who sees your real self and says, finally. Those are your people, and they've been waiting for you to drop the mask. If this video found you at the exact moment you needed it, that's not coincidence. That's synchronicity. Your unconscious mind led you here because you're ready for this truth. Subscribe if you're ready to stop being food for narcissists and start being feared by them instead. Because I'm about to show you something even more dangerous. How to make toxic people eliminate themselves from your life without you saying a single word. The next video will change how you walk into every room for the rest of your life. You're not just learning psychology. You're becoming psychologically dangerous. And that's exactly what you need to be.